and off the radar. So the ACC, which is trying to figure things out, its focus of attention has been on the Pac-12 or what's going to happen there, maybe the Big 12 and what they might do, and now it shifted to the East Coast yesterday and got a lot of play throughout the day.
Well, yeah, and it's interesting. I'm not sure what they've got to have, I said this yesterday, several layers of a plan here, because the teams that are going to be left out of this, and there will be some that are left out of this, are going to want the money they would get. The ACC only has one TV partner. It's ESPN. That's it. They have to deal with that. They have to figure out, okay, so you could dissolve the conference, but that's only going to work if more than just Florida State, Clemson, and North Carolina, say, have a place to go. That's the only way that if I'm NC State, I'm signing off on this Magnificent 7 deal, is that I know that I'll have a place to go. And, the private schools in this are really kind of stuck, and Wake and Duke in particular. Miami's not, because they're part of the Magnificent 7, but Wake and Duke are kind of stuck. Syracuse is kind of out in no man's land in this. Curious to hear whatever happens down the line with Louisville and Pitt, because those could be the swing votes, because they could wind up with different homes if the ACC were to dissolve. But ultimately, and very simply, this is at least a mechanism to get the unequal revenue sharing talks going. And that is the long-term mechanism for just breaking it up anyway, because eventually people will get tired of that.
Yeah, I mean, this was interesting to see this scuttlebutt yesterday while I was out, and got to take in some of it. But, to be clear, the ACC ADs were told not to speak. That was reported by someone I was reading earlier, and I think a couple of others may have mentioned that as well. So that was intentional, the fact that they weren't speaking with the media. But it's all very interesting. It's, nice to, I guess, hear something realignment related that's not Pac-12 TV related or Big 12, Pac-12 related, although that still goes on. Do they have a TV deal yet?
No.
Okay. So just checking in, make sure I didn't miss that. But, yeah, I mean, that's, been the ongoing saga. And now, this other wrinkle that's, popped up here over the last few months, when Florida State first started opening their mouths about this and Clemson opened their mouths about it in their respective ways, you knew that this was, a storyline that was going to be growing hotter as it went on along. And I think, we're still a ways out from probably anything significant happening, significant meaning actual movement. But all of the, pieces are in place to shake up the status quo and to, potentially shake up that conference. I just think there's a lot of unanswered questions, obviously. This is not a, hey, you all 7 get together and then you vote and then, boom, you're out, and next year you're in the SEC or something like that. I mean, this is a time-consuming process, one would imagine, especially with all the contracts and the length of those and, the networks involved. I mean, again, I failed to see really a great answer from anybody so far on just why ESPN would be willing to do this, but I'm sure that conversation's been out there because I haven't gone and sought it out. That's an unanswered question I have, is like, why would you willingly dissolve games that you have for what? Like, and to then have empty spots that you replace with what? I'm seeing a lot of what I have seen is a lot of well, here we go. Here's the Power 2 starting to emerge, and everybody else brace yourselves and all of that. So, we knew that this was a possibility that they were going to continue rattling the cage, and a likelihood after it was brought up by Florida State and Clemson, but I wasn't expecting it, honestly. Just thinking about it, I wasn't expecting them to be rattling it as hard as they appear to maybe be doing so right this very moment. But, it's very interesting stuff, and we'll see what comes of it.
Yeah, and it's interesting. And think about there was the bombshell of the Texas OU story almost 2 years ago, and then followed up a year later by USC and UCLA. This could involve lots of programs, and this could, again, involve a lot of the conferences based on whatever happens. But nothing is imminent. Nothing is right around the corner. It's just right now almost, would you say, conference realignment foreplay?
Yeah, I think that's the phase of it. And, the ACC, the talk is they get one more, they can vote to dissolve the conference. But again, okay, so say that was the play. Well, now you either have to form your own conference, you have to have somewhere else to go, and then that brings into okay, well, then you could start the big reshuffling. But having the availability of the teams that are So say it is, and the Pac-12 and the ACC are kind of dissolving together and trying to reform a new conference at the same time. Well, Oregon and Washington and Clemson and North Carolina and Miami can't really be in the same conference and play each other all that much because your television windows, you can't kick off a lot of those West Coast games at noon Eastern, and you can't have 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock p.m. games in the East. So that's why that scheduling partnership didn't make a whole lot of sense after even all the wave of it, because there's going to be only limited windows you can put it in. So there's a lot of things to work out, and you're not just going to have an 8-team league when everybody else has got 16. So this is trying to figure out, can you get into, and what particularly the biggest 4 schools in that Magnificent 7 want to do is they want to get into those big 2 leagues. That's what they want.
Or want to get closer revenue-wise to whoever is a part. Sir, blah, blah, blah. This is a good question. I don't know the answer. I'm not numb to realignment. It has been amazing over the last couple of years, really for the last 12 years. But so does Notre Dame have any say at all or a vote regarding the ACC?
Well, they're not a football member, so whatever they decide football-wise doesn't really matter other than their scheduling partnership. So this is, again, everything's about football. Because if basketball had anything to do with this, Duke wouldn't be on the sidelines, would they?
No, they wouldn't be.
So,
yeah, and we were told time and again by the Pac-12 folks that basketball doesn't matter because remember, the whole Big 12. Well, hey, the basketball league. Hey, basketball doesn't matter. So basketball doesn't matter in that case. I don't see why it matters in this case. And if it did, then you're right. Then you would have Duke lined up ready to be the 8th team to go ahead and break that bad boy on down, which I've seen would potentially dissolve the grant of rights, but doesn't guarantee that it would dissolve the grant of rights. So there is still that tricky situation of, hey, you've got a party that's growing that could potentially disrupt this thing, but that's not 100% that it would in fact do that. And right now, you are looking at gobs and gobs and gobs of money that no matter who you are, would be tough for a lot of schools to pay right now, even if they grouped up together. So there is that unanswered question about what exactly could dissolve it. I know that I've seen that 8 could, but I haven't seen that as like a concrete, yes, it would absolutely dissolve it, and there would be no litigation, and there would be no, nothing that the ACC could do. So if I'm wrong on that, please inform me. I haven't been able to dive, fully into it, and I don't know what the contracts say exactly. But if it is as simple as getting one more member on board, and Duke's not that, then it's clear to say that basketball doesn't matter at all. But if it does, then that seems like a pretty simple solution, you would think.
By the way, and it's yet another layer, and there might be, it's like a spider web, and just kind of one layer after another. And now some of the focus, at least the last couple of days, not that it wasn't there, but now moves towards what happens with the ACC. Brandon Marcel.